The Evermore podcast is now sponsored by WFST Total Compliance. WFST provides fire safety requirements UK-wide to prepare you and your employees should the worst happen. Do what you do best and visit wfst.co.uk today. Enjoy the episode. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Evermore YouTube channel. It's Monday night. We're asking the same question we do every Monday night, but a little bit of a twist this time, because I'll tell you what's going on, Mark. It was the night before Milan, and all through the house, nothing was circling. Not a mackem, not a mouse. The fucking Champions League's back, mate. How about that? Come on.
Well done. I like that. I like that a lot. We've got lots of people to ask today. Have you ever seen a mackem in Milan? There's plenty of mags in Milan, I can tell you that much.
Oof, not half. I do have slight sympathy for any couple who's gone over to Milan for a romantic weekend or romantic midweek jaunt over to Milan, and maybe just order a nice bottle of red, and out of nowhere Adam Pearson's walked past with his fucking chest out, and about 8 blokes have just gone skidding past doing a Klinsmann and skittled a bunch of kids from Wallsend. So I do feel sorry for that poor couple, but if they're Geordies, they'll love it anyway, mate. So who couldn't love a lovable Geordie?
Speaking of Pearson, did you see the fair play, W's enjoying himself. Did you see the thing that somebody did with the Gazzetta dello Sport?
I did. That had to be a wind-up. That had to be who that did. Surely.
It was absolutely hilarious. I absolutely loved it.
Yeah. I did read the bio. The bio kind of gave away who did that, I think, to be fair, when you read the bio of the account, mate. But absolutely class. I'm buzzing for this. I mean, we've been waiting 20 years for this, Mark. 20 years. We've been sat through some turgid shit. We've sat through 15 years of the most rancid owner. That's fucking right, Rio Ferdinand. You're on the list. Tune in tomorrow, everybody, to check me take that twat to court. But 15 years of sitting through that fat bastard and all the shit that he put us through. John Carver, Steve Bruce with 5 at the back, all this other nonsense, and all to get back to the big time, mate. All to get back to playing Europe's elite in the best club competition in the world. The Geordies are there, mate. I cannot wait to see how we do. I really, really can't. So we're going to get stuck right into that in a minute, everybody. Just a little reminder, as we always do, a little bit of housekeeping before we kick off. If you're new to the channel, you haven't checked us out, so good to see you. You picked a great night to come on board. This is all going to be buzzing and Champions League heavy, this is. So smash subscribe if you haven't. Come and join us. We're over 5,000 subscribers. If you do fancy becoming a member, if you are a subscriber and you haven't become a member yet, there's a little button down there, $1.99, less than a Moretti. I guarantee you, less than a pint of Moretti anywhere probably in this world, really. Smash that. You'll get loads of little goodies, early access to rants and previews and all sorts of stuff. Mark's been cooking up in his lab. And we are live tonight. Jump in the comments. We've got a few already in there. BT was in early doors, as he always is. Good evening to you. Yes, apparently we have got ourselves in trouble already, but fuck you, for BT. They can find us as much as they want. We've got deep pockets, mate. Deep pockets. He's just saying there, we could be excused because some flights from Milan with delay because of torrential rain and thunderstorm. Well, I like your excuses, mate. I like your excuses. Ian Browlow is already in there. Food beevening, lads. A little slip of the old fat thumb syndrome there, mate. Unless he's talking about
Moretti already.
Somebody's been on the red, exactly. So good evening. He's corrected himself there, absolutely. And Kevin's hit the nail on the head, exactly. All the hype will finally end tomorrow night. So let's get stuck in there, Mark. There's only one place to start, really, isn't there? It's here, mate. Champions League is here. The night Newcastle have been dreaming about, mate. How excited are you about this?
I mean, it's just an absolute buzz. The biggest piss take is I'm not going to be able to watch the start of the game.
Oh, will you play that? I'm definitely watching the start of the game. Fuck that. I'll be back in front of the box for me.
I know. Right. I'm not going to be out early enough to get back to watch it. I'm getting attacked by stuff here. So yeah, I will have it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, exactly. Somebody asked us to buy them a pint. But no, look, honestly, just to you said it before. It's 20 years and it's 16. What was it? 16 years of absolute horseshit. in the journey that's taken place from the last game in the Champions League has just been incredible. And when you consider how low the club was at one point, and just how much people had fallen out with everything, just to see everybody buzzing and so looking. I've never seen so many people so excited for a game in my life, and it's just incredible. So and for that, I cannot wait.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what, as well, but we totally deserve to be there, and obviously we're going to have a little look. It's a bit of a preview type show, this, Mark, isn't it? Slightly different to normal what's going on. We'll be more preview heavy, but I mean, I was obviously really concerned when the group of death was announced. I was quite vocal about that. I was extremely negative. I had me black cloak and me scythe on and everything else. And as the week kind of go on, and you start to almost get to terms with it, and you start looking at these teams in a bit more detail. We're going to talk about Milan in a minute. They got fucking houked at the weekend, and we were watching it, and I looked at that and I thought to myself, do you know what? We've got players that could hurt that team, and then when you start looking at the people saying you take Mbappe out of PSG, then they're not all that, and you start looking and thinking maybe Newcastle won't get absolutely battered in this group, but I think that the win at the weekend, before we get into the Champions League, Mark, as scruffy as it was, that's a huge win for confidence going into this game, isn't it, for Eddie and the lads?
Yeah, I mean, it was scruffy. It wasn't a prime performance by any stretch of the imagination, but look, it was effective, won the game. I still don't understand, and I'm the biggest goalkeeper fan in the world. I don't understand how Wilson's is ruled out. Like you said about 15 times on the post match, keeper's made a tracing paper. He was so weak. So look, it's a nice little confidence boost. Good to see the players that came in, and I think there was a little hint as to who comes back tomorrow, that step in it and do a job. Thought Botman just settled everybody back down again, and just shows just what a good player he is, because all of a sudden that defense didn't look shaky. Pope had a couple of moments sort of when his usual head sort of strong running out of the box and things, but generally he was quite composed. He didn't have an awful lot to do with it. His save from Hickey early was good. He stood up strong, but there were moments where you thought Brentford could have done better, but I think overall Newcastle had the opportunities there. They had one ruled out. The penalty they'll debate until time is gone, but it was a pen, brilliantly stuck away, and that's just when everything starts to pre other sort of big games. You go back to the cup final from last year. Everything was just ticking and going the wrong way. The Pope thing, the defeat beforehand. This time around, on the back of a penalty going in your way, a victory, everything's ticking in the right direction with players coming back. That it just feels good going into this game.
Absolutely. Good comment there from Jordy. Exactly. If Milan play that high line, we could definitely expose them, just like we did against Villa. And yeah, you're right, Roger. It was a perfect pen by Wilson.
No goalkeeper in the world is getting anywhere close to that.
I must say, though, I love Callum Wilson, right? But people are getting a little bit too excited about his line, precious for tyres. I hate to tell you this, but Alan Shearer has been saying that for fucking ages. So Shearer doesn't deserve to have that nicked off him, by the way. He's been saying that for a very long time, no fairness. But let's get stuck in there, Mark. So we've put together a lineup what we think Eddie is going to go with at the San Siro. Might surprise a few people watching. But obviously the back five, Mark. Let's just go pick through that. You mentioned them. I did a video saying that, obviously in response to a couple of other media muppets talking about the best centre halves in the league, with Virgil van Dijk's powers waning, and I mean it, and it's a hill I'm willing to die on. But I think even at the age of whatever he is, 23, 24, Sven Botman to me is one of the best five centre backs in the Premier League, if not European football, mate. Would you concur with that?
Certainly, at the moment, the way that he's playing and the sort of the confidence and what he brings to the rest of the side, like I say, he just calms everybody down, and he's certainly in a better place than Virgil van Dijk, and that was the argument, wasn't it? Virgil van Dijk was the best defender in the world, and I don't think he's close now. He's nowhere near the best in the Premier League at the moment. Look, he could get back there, but at the moment, for the way that they're playing, Botman is just absolutely sensational.
100%. Just a quick mention there. Ty has just clicked that button to become a brand new member. Thank you so much, Ty.
Awesome.
Massively appreciate it, mate. Welcome to the squad. Really appreciate the support for the channel. Got a comment there from Graham saying, spot on, Chris. Everyone gives Callum credit. I think you're the only one I've heard pick that up. Yeah, I hope not. I mean, I hope other podcasts have picked that up as well, Graham. But going back to the back four, Mark, as you rightly say, Botman just oozes that class. If for somebody as young as he is as well, he's reading the game, his positional sense. And I remember years ago, you and I watching Jonathan Woodgate playing St James's Park, and he almost seemed to read the game at a different frequency to everybody else around him. Even the attackers at times, he almost seemed to know what the attacker was going to do before the attacker did it. And he was such a good defender positionally. And I never thought I'd see as good of a centre half in a black and white shirt in my lifetime watching Newcastle, but I actually think he's better than Woodgate. I mean, touch wood, he's not made of glass, which is a great start. But I think even at the age he is now, just the presence and the skill. I mean, people misplace passes. He manages to bring it down and he plays it with his wrong foot. And he never looks phased at all. But by any centre forward that he's played against, it's no wonder AC Milan wanted to sign him as badly as they did. We'll come on to them in a minute, but their defense could definitely need a Sven Botman, and there's a lot of teams in Europe could do with a Sven Botman. Obviously, we've got Dan Burn moving over to left back. I've got my issues with this. I've said this openly and honestly. I'm not gonna change my opinion on it. I think the weekend with Dan Burn, we saw two sides, Mark. I think defensively, from a left back point of view, very solid defensively. But when you have that opportunity, like when Brentford sat back and they wanted us to come onto them, and there was a huge gap to run into on the left-hand side, he just didn't do it, did he? And that's the bit that worries me about a modern-day wing-back, full-back, whatever you want to call them. You have to be able to do both, mate, especially in European football.
Yeah, and there was a moment on Saturday in certainly the second half when he was forward towards the edge of the box and the ball came to him and he just wasn't aware at all, and the ball bounces off him and I think ends up going for a throw-in. It was just you could see the nervousness that he almost has in that percent. Every now and again he'll have a brilliant run, or the goal that he scored in the was it against Leicester?
It was against Leicester when he little jink him. Was it a right foot goal? Yeah. I think as well, wasn't it?
And you'll get that, but in the main, Dan Burn getting forward is just it's not a pretty sight. He's brilliant defensively at times. My fear is the pace that could get run at. If they start,
what Ian's saying there in the comments, mate. Lau is the danger man for them, no doubt about that.
He is, but he will tend to play more left hand side, which sort of pulls into Trippier's side of things.
Right.
Look, the lad that they didn't start with on Saturday and who came on for Pulisic in the second half is Samuel Chukwueze.
He's a good player.
He's a terrific player and he's got a lot of pace as well. So that might be a tricky one. But if they're playing with Gordon in that position and they can cover with the likes of Tonali and give him some support, and that he'll do a good job. I don't think he's going to get forward at all tomorrow night. I think you'll see that imbalance again. You will see Trippier be the one that gets forward more and almost play with a three at the back at times just to cover with that. But I don't think it's certainly not the right game to have thrown in a Lewis Hall or a Matt Target into this game. No, absolutely not. So I think that's the right decision if that's the right.
For what it's worth, Hall does have a European experience with Chelsea. I don't think he would be fazed by it. He looks like that kind of a player, but it is a big ask of an 18-year-old lad to make your debut for Newcastle at the San Siro. And I think short of an injury, I don't think that is going to happen. But moving on to the midfield, obviously, Tonali missed the weekend. I think that was a tactical thing. I think he was on the bench, but he was never going to come on, really. I think, Eddie was going to keep faith with Elliot Anderson and Sean Longstaff, who I thought had a really good game. I was talking to a mate of mine about this today. Sean Longstaff does a lot of work off the ball that people don't give him credit for, and I think you don't realise it's not what he does until it's not there. Like last season when we missed him, and we were talking about it, other podcasts were talking about it, and I think Sean's running and his ability to take other players away with him opens up the space for Bruno, doesn't it, to play with the ball? And I think after looking at at Milan at the weekend. I mean, they weren't great at all. I'm just going to have a quick check of the lineup here. So
how many times have people actually say they were dreadful?
Yeah,
they're not great at all. They were absolutely fucking woeful on Saturday.
Yeah, they were really bad. I mean, was it Reinders got hooked on 77 minutes. Pulisic was hooked on 56, as was Giroud on 57. They still got battered 5-1. I mean, that the midfield. I mean, obviously, you still got is it Rada Krunic who plays in that deep line role, doesn't he? He plays more in that deep line role when he was next to Tonali, almost in like a double pivot. So I'm not sure how, because obviously Ruben Loftus-Cheek wants to go forward, and I'm not sure how much cover and protection he'll have with the likes of Tonali and Bruno maybe pushing on to him. I mean, out of those three, mate, do you think Sean will be the one that will drop further back? I mean, it'll be a big emotional night for Tonali, it has to be said. So I don't know how he's going to handle that. Hopefully, it won't get to him. But what's your thought process on the midfield three? How do you see that panning out?
Well, I mean, to be fair, I think one or two ways that could go, couldn't it? I mean, Tonali could either have an absolute blinder on his return just to kind of show everybody what they're missing, or he could shrink. I don't think he'll shrink at all. He's not
that kind of player, is he?
Type of player at all. I honestly think that the biggest one for tomorrow is Sean, if in that position where he's going to have to put in so much work. And the one thing that you saw from Milan at the weekend was that when the heads dropped, so Newcastle can get on, really keep that press high and keep at them and take the ball off them quickly and maybe get a goal ahead. Let the crowd get on the backs of the Milan players if they can, and really working hard. And I think that selection of, if you then go with Longstaff, Almiron and Gordon, is perfect in that regard, because they will just run all day. And that's exactly what you want. You want 90, 97, 98, 100 minutes worth of just pure effort. And you touched on it before, you miss Sean Longstaff when he's not there because of all of that effort that he puts in. And his stats and things are almost irrelevant to that, because if you look at the scoring that he gets from the likes of Sofa score or whatever, it's never a 7 point something. It's always a 6, unless he scores.
Yeah, it's steady 6.
6.9. But it always feels really undeserved for him to get that low of a score, because of the amount of effort that he puts in, because he's such a good, naturally fit player that he just works and he pressures people so much, and it allows the other players in midfield to be able to play on the ball.
Yeah, he'll unsettle the Milan midfield because he's just relentless with his running. I mean, it's such a shame, and we're going to miss Joe Linton massively. There's no doubt about that. Joe Linton is massively integral to this Newcastle team. I would love to have seen a fully fit beast Joe Linton at this Milan midfield, because I think he would scare the life out of them, as would Joe Willock as well, with his pace and running, his ability to get up the pitch. But we're not going to have that. But I think this is a great game to see how Tonali and Bruno can work together. But I think with Sean there covering in behind them, this whole point of them getting each other's way, or can they play together, whatever, hopefully might be nullified a little bit. Just a comment there from Ian saying that they've got 2 world-class players, but so have we, and they're not a cohesive team. Like us when we're on song, if we press the fuck out of them, then we'll be able to break, basically get at them, I think is what he's saying. Tucoin is saying that that's his team too. I think that's probably most people's teams, Mark, as well, to be fair. But moving on to the attack, I mean, we watched the highlights of the Milan derby, and I mean, one player that was linked to us for a short time. We did a rumor has it video on him. Was Marcus Thuram, and he absolutely murdered the AC Milan defense. I mean, obviously, it was missing Tomori, who does come back in for this game, I think.
Yeah,
which is a big asset for them. But his replacement was it Malik Thiaw? He looked like me playing centre half for fucking Milan. He was getting absolutely torn to pieces. But one thing I did notice about the goals that Thuram scored, some of them, fucking hell, they were unbelievable. But the movement and the runs that he was making, all I kept thinking watching was Isak. I thought he will make them runs and he will absolutely tear you a lot to pieces. And he must have been licking his chops watching them highlights, Alexander Isak, Mark, because the space he'll get in behind that back four if they play a high line like that.
Movement killed them at the weekend. It absolutely did, and the cleverness of the players around, the likes of Mkhitaryan and and Thuram and I forget. Do you know, my brain's gone completely blank. The lad that plays up front with it.
The Turkish lad in midfield as well has got a massive lot of minted free kicks. I can't remember his name now, but he's class, isn't he? Free kicks.
Martinez, Lautaro Martinez. So my brain went completely blank there. The ingenuity of those players to be able to move around and it just pulled the Milan players all over the place. And the goal for, was it Mkhitaryan's finish? He was just standing in the middle of the box on his own.
It's like a knife through water, really, wasn't it? Yeah.
Pull back. And I think that's the other thing as well. I think I want to see, and I've been saying this for, everybody's been saying it for so long, get Almiron to drive to the byline. And that's exactly, when you watch what happened at the weekend, exactly that. The players out wide were driving to the byline and cutting back. And the Milan midfield and defence were on their heels. So the players coming into the box had almost free rein at times to be able to come onto the ball. And I just want once or twice for him to just drive to that line. And excuse the cat. There's where
he's excited.
Weekly view of the cat. He's buzzing. You just want him to give him another option, not and the same old tired cut back and give it to Trippier. I want that run now to get in behind the fullbacks, especially if he's coming up against Theo Hernandez, because Hernandez will want to get forward as well. So there will be room for him to exploit in behind him and drive into the box.
It'll be a big test of his defensive capabilities. He's very good at getting forward, as you rightly say, but defensively, he can be caught, and he's got a really active right-hand side there. And if you throw Longstaff's run into the mix as well, who pulls out right, he could be in for a real tough night, Hernandez, because he better get some sleep the night before, because it will be relentless. But yeah, if you look at the pace in that front three as well, Mark, I think that's the reason why Miggy will come back. I've got my issues with Miggy. A lot of people have. He's more one-footed than a fucking flamingo, but he's got energy to burn. Really has. And when he's at it, he's bang at it. He's like a wasp at a picnic, and he's a fucking nuisance. He's just everywhere. And I think the Milan players, his lack of quality sometimes in the final third in his clinical passing is pure relentless energy and pressing. I think will just absolutely run them ragged, because the Serie A league is not that quick a pace of a league, and they're not used to that kind of intensity from players. And it's only when they play European football that really get pushed like that. I think, Miggy, Isak and Gordon, we've seen all three of them press, and I think there's a comment there from Graham as well. I think just saying we need to get right into the Milan's faces from the off. And I think if we press hard from the front, especially after they've just come off the back of a hiding of 5-1 against their biggest rivals, if we can get an early goal, Mark, they could really come a bit unstuck, I think, mate, at San Siro, these guys.
It could, like I say, you get on top of them and you get the crowd on their backs. And I think after that game at the weekend, they wanted the crowd will want a massive reaction from them. And if you can get them a goal behind early, and really put them under pressure, then you've got the potential to then do exactly what Inter have done to them and really put them to bed early on. And they will have looked at Newcastle as being of the three that they're going to play again. It seems really harsh, but the inexperience of the side at this level, they'll have looked at it and gone, we have to take points from them, because
fourth seed,
they're going to really struggle against PSG and Dortmund. So, but at the same time, they can really come unstuck. And like I say, if it just get on top of them early, I think some of the comments and then get stuck into them, get really up them, and and do it not aggressively, but do it in the right sort of way, and really shut them up. And if you can shut the crowd up, especially, and drive that home, and then play the Newcastle's natural game and be able to then utilize the quick breaks with the likes of Gordon and Isak and Almiron, especially if Milan play that high line, as you say, if they're going to sit up a little bit higher, if they're then chasing the game, it opens it up massively for Newcastle to go and get 2 or 3.
Absolutely. Just before we talk a little bit more about where we could win this, spare a thought for Republic of Ireland, as George just said there. It looks like the Baron of Bacon is possibly to swap the bacon for potatoes by the looks of it. I hope to God not. The breaking bacon is back in. And you've got that saved, haven't you? It's like emergency break glass in it. But I hope for Ireland's sake, I really do hope that does not happen, because my goodness, I think Evan Ferguson will be trying to change his passport, I think, and go play for England if that's the case after one competitive game. Can he get away with it?
I'd be burning mine if I was Evan Ferguson and Steve Bruce takes over. Christ
next time you see him get interviewed, he'll just be talking about like a Cockney accent. Oh, a geezer. How you talking about, mate? I'm playing for fucking Ireland. My God, that'd be absolutely horrendous. Nearly as bad as my Cockney accent. But going back to the lineup, I suppose just finishing on it from our point of view, Mark, before we talk about some of the threats from Milan. Tonali and Bruno could boss this midfield if they show up. If them two show up, looking at that midfield, I mean, we've seen what Loftus-Cheek has to offer in the Premier League. You know, he does have moments, but he's not been the Loftus-Cheek that everybody's thought he was going to be for a long, long time. And obviously injuries have curtailed that a bit. You know, the other lad in midfield, I think, misses that presence of Tonali next to him in Krunic, even though he's a good player. So yeah, I think if Bruno and Tonali really step up and show up for the game, and then throw Longstaff's running into that as well, we really could win that midfield battle, mate. I really do believe that. I'm confident that we could.
Yeah, it's a big test for them, isn't it? And it's funny because you talked about the missing Tonali in the Milan midfield and playing alongside Krunic. Now, Milan have almost changed into that 4-3-3 formation this season. When you go back to last year, a lot of what was good about them in the middle of the pot was the fact that they played Tonali and Krunic in the middle as a two, and it allowed Tonali to be the one that then
go forward and then drop in when he needs to. Yeah,
would play in that more holding role. So it's weird to see them. They've progressed on from that 4-2-3-1 or 4-2-2, whatever it was at times as well. And it is I say it to see him now flip into this version, into the Newcastle midfield. He's got a big game ahead of him. Like I say, I think he could go one of two ways. I genuinely do think he will step up, though. He will want to prove that, you know, the right decision for him. It's going to be an emotional one for him, but I think we start to see a little bit of the best of players on the biggest nights, and I think this will be a good test for him. But I think he'll prove his worth. I think you'll see Bruno at his pomp. I think
Bruno relish this. Yeah,
absolutely. This is what he wanted. This is absolutely what he wanted. He said this, wasn't it? He wanted to play for Newcastle in the Premier League, in the Champions League. And this is his time to come out. And he's had a quiet start because he's played that deeper role. But I think he now has the opportunity to go out on the European stage and go, this is what I'm all about. And I just think that midfield three, I think, is almost perfect for this.
Yeah, I think you're right, man. Great comment from George. The Trips has that continental style in his memory banks from when he was at Atletico. There's no doubt his time at Atletico made him a better player, George. I totally agree with that. And these big game experiences, I think you're looking around at that team, and you know there is some Champions League experience in there, but a lot of it's kind of relatively inexperienced. You're looking at players like Trippier, you know, like Tonali, like Isak, like Shaw, like Bruno, who have tasted that kind of Champions League type nights and just said, you know what, and Botman as well, to be fair, when he was at Lille, you know, let's just calm it down, lads. That, you know, we'll talk about the European style, the different of the officials and all that kind of stuff as well. All this stuff has to go into account. You know, Byrne can't maybe do what he does in the Premier League because he'll get loads of fouls put up against him. Bruno can't go on half and somebody when he doesn't get a free kick like he did at the weekend, or he'll get a red card, never mind a yellow card in the Champions League. So all these things need to play into account, you know, when we're playing in a game like this, but it should be a great atmosphere. There's no doubt about that, mate. So the comment from Antagonized there, one of our other members, shredded wheat ready for there and back for Miggy. It's like a fella from the Benny Hill show. We will cause him some serious problems tomorrow. I mean, if Miggy is rested, Mark, and he's firing on all cylinders, he will be like a fucking Duracell bunny up down that line, mate, won't he? There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I was going to say the Energizer bunny. I think it's the same, but yeah, he's just going to be full of beans, isn't he? He's going to want to put on the show. He's going to want to continually running. I mean, he does it anyway, doesn't he? He's going to be running backwards and forwards like anything, and he has to force Hernandez back. He's got to be the one that gets in behind. He's got to be the one on that side to really null the threat of Theo Hernandez getting forward, and he can really do a number on him, and then it opens the door for Trippier from further out to put balls into the box, or for Longstaff or Tonali or Bruno even to start making those runs into the middle of the area, in behind Isak, and do exactly what Inter did at the weekend. So there's a massive job for Almiron to do tomorrow, and I think he's had a rest since the international break. He's come back. By account, he played well while he was away. He sat down at the weekend, and he'll come in firing.
Definitely, he does need a big performance. I totally agree with what Ian's saying there as well. The knives are out for Miggy a little bit, I think, before the international break. And if he starts this game, the Champions League, and he plays well, a lot of that kind of ill feeling, so to speak, or doubts about Miggy will all be eroded away. But just talking about the hosts, then, Mark. I mean, they have got some good players, man. Just to rattle a couple of names off and talk about the kind of dangers we'll be facing. I mean, obviously, we mentioned Hernandez. We talked about he was linked to as an rumor has it. I mean, as a modern day fullback, as opposed to what we just said about Byrne, the lad's got a lot, and he really, he's big, he's quick, he's strong. He's got good positional sense. He can get forward as well. He's going to be a threat, isn't he, down Trippier's side? Trippier's going to have a tough night, I think, against him.
He will, and that's where I think Miggy's key in that regard, because if he can force Hernandez back and keep him more defensively minded, then that opens up the opportunity for Trippier to not get pushed back so far and be much more of a threat going forward. And that's absolutely key for me tomorrow, is that left-hand side of Milan's defence. If you can aim that side and just keep those players quiet, I think opens the door for many Newcastle chances. But he is a threat. If he gets forward, watch, even in that game on Saturday, watch his run he plows through the Inter midfield and defence, and he's unlucky with his chance that he puts wide. It was a phenomenal run, but that's the kind of fullback, that's the kind of wide wing back really that he is. So he is a danger, and especially then if they are gonna have Giroud through the middle, balls in from wide as well. They can do it from both sides, and Giroud is clever. He's good in the air. He can hold the ball. He can then bring in the likes of Leao or whoever's at the other.
He's still got a lot to offer, Giroud, I think, in that number 9 role. Coming there from Woodby Farm, I'm almost scoring another worldie that would be memorable. It'll henceforth be called and known around the world as the Miggy. I like it, would be. You just say getting Miggy with it. That's what we'll say when everyone scores a blinder. But you mentioned Giroud there, Mark, as well. I mean, he's getting on now. God, what is he? He must be late 30s now, is he, or something, Giroud? What is he now? He's got to be pushing 40, Giroud.
What is Giroud? Giroud must be 36 now, surely.
He's still, to quote Zoolander, he's still ridiculously good looking as well, the bastard as well, isn't he? To be fair to him, but he is a handy player. He's that kind of a player in my eyes. When I think there was talk about him coming back to Premier League, I'd have had him as part of the squad, especially for European nights like this. I think he has got that big game experience. He's got a great touch. He brings people into play, like you say. The danger man for me, the one I'm really worried about the most. I mean, Chuck Weezy is dangerous if he comes on, and there's no doubt about that. But the one that really worries me is Leao. His pace, his movement, his ability to finish, his ability to take a past a man. We are really going to have to be on our toes with this kid. I mean, I don't know whether he'll swap over to the other side and they'll see Byrne as a weakness. Like a lot of teams have targeted Byrne this year. Not to be negative about this. I don't want to be negative. I'm just trying to be pragmatic. But if you're the AC Milan manager and you've watched Newcastle, which they would have done, they've watched tapes, they've watched everything else, and you're looking for weaknesses, are you going to put your best winger on the side where Kieran Trippier's there with all his experience, all his now? So you're going to swap him over to the centre half playing left back?
He's very much a left-sided player. He's like, I'm not going to liken them completely, but he's very much like Harvey Barnes. He only plays from the left. He doesn't play
on one side.
Yeah, if you go back through his entire, I think he's probably played there about 4 years ago for a little patch. But other than that, if you go right through his heat map and things for the last 3 years, it's very, very left-sided. He is that left-sided forward player that comes in on his right foot. He's exceptional, and he's frightening when he's on form. But again, keep him quiet. If you can keep him plugged to one side, and I think Shane and Trippier are going to have their hands full there because his movement is great. So yeah, I don't think you're going to see him play it up against Burn. That's very much going to be the likes of Pulisic or Chukwueze who comes in from that side, who equally is adept at using their pace to get in behind him as well. So
Pulisic is more, I think, more of a creative player who's got to run him with the ball rather than pace. He's still failing to be, but he's not.
I was going to say he's no slouch.
Yeah, he's no slouch. Yeah, he can certainly beat us in a 100-meter sprint. I'm sure about that. But he's not as quick as those two players. But Ian's quite confident that Burn will kick him off the park. See, my worry about Burn is that the refs will be blowing up for shit left, right, and centre with him. Because remember when Peter Crouch first started playing European football, and he was that very much that English that we've lost Mark. Right? He's disappeared. Peter Crouch first started playing in European football. He was getting free kicks given against him all of the time. Because of his kind of big gangly style. There you go, you're back again, mate. Did the podcast kick you out there for a minute?
No idea.
I thought Peter Crouch was your safe word there. You just exited the room quite quickly there for some reason, mate. But I was just saying when Crouchy started playing European football, I mean, refs blew up free kicks against him every time he went for a header. And I'm just worried a little bit that they'll see Burn in a similar bit. Listen, I don't want to put a negative slant at. Maybe I'm giving Burn a disservice here because he is a very adaptable player. And if he gets a couple of free kicks given against him, he'll maybe learn and adapt within the game because he's got that about him, hasn't he?
Yeah. I've bigged up Dan. I'll big up Dan Burn now, and I've been a bit of a critic in terms of his ability at left back and stuff. But I think we all cringed at first when he came up against Anthony, and Anthony for the first few minutes had his life. We all cringed at our Highbury.
Saka,
at the Emirates,
Saka.
Against Saka. And for 5-10 minutes, Saka had his life. And then Dan Burn got to grips with him. And he did the same to Anthony. And he'll learn very quickly in the game where he can be, where he can't be. And I think he's done so well at being able to adapt during the game to the way that the opposition play against. And so long as that initial period doesn't cost them, I think he'll be all right. But it is a big test, and it's a big stage for him. It's a massive jump up in sort of in quality that he's going to come up against on playing at left back. So it's not your average run of the mill Premier League right wingers. So he will do a job, and like I say, he's learned and he's adapted really quickly to playing against those quicker, more skillful wingers. It does worry me still because he doesn't have that pace, and he does have the moments where he does lose himself a little bit, and he does get a little bit too aggressive. He's got away with it mostly, but in Europe he won't get that opportunity. If he is over the line, then he's going to get booked almost instantly. But I just think he's got enough about him to adapt fairly quickly.
Yeah, I do like George's comment there about Anthony Gordon will snap Giroud's Zimmer frame with a sonic boom as he goes past him at Mach 10 speed. I mean, this is a game for Gordon. He must be relishing, when he left Everton to come here. These are exactly the reasons he left to come and play for a team like Newcastle United that was on the up. And for him, he's been so good this season so far. And I think he's proved a lot of that was wrong, including it within the fan base, Anthony Gordon. The way he's applied himself in the pre-season, obviously playing for England was massive for him, and how well he did in that tournament. He's brought that back into pre-season. He's brought that back into the Premier League. I think arguably, Mark, he's been our best player in the whole season. He does look a little bit like Kyle from Messi. He does actually, mate. But I think he's been arguably our best player, I think, mate, this season. And I can't wait to see what he does in the Champions League platform. I really can't.
Yeah, it's another big stage for him to perform on it, and he sort of proved in for England that he's got big game mentality, hasn't he? And I think it's just a great opportunity for him to showcase what he's good. And again, and it sounds like I'm sort of talking down qualities of players, but the work rate comes into it massively. And I go back to what I said before. I think get on top of them and use that massive amount of fitness and work rate that those players have, and it will grind Milan down and cause them to make mistakes, to get pushed up too far, and allow Newcastle to break. And the one good thing, not just with Miggy one side, that Gordon's pace is unreal.
Oh, it is.
He is so quick.
Isn't he like the fastest player in the league or something, or second fastest player in the league behind Walker or something like that? He's up there.
Has to be up there. He's rapid, and again playing balls in behind a high defense. He can get onto it. We want to see more goals from him. They will come, but against a high line, if he can get in behind their right back, is it Calabria? And really punish him if they're going to play that higher line, like we said. But look, he's got that world stage now to play on. And you're right, it's absolutely why you moved from Everton, apart from the fact that Everton fans are complete fucking morons. But please be the year that they go down. I am absolutely sick of them.
I love it. I'd absolutely love it. It would be superb. Man United burning to the ground and them going down in one season would be like a Carlsberg season. Just a comment there from Antagonize. You're right. Watched it in the game. They went straight through them. Not on the left or right, just physically through the middle. Yeah, you're totally right. They absolutely battered them. Stu Magazine, hope ref controls the game. Yeah, that is a very good point. The Titans go down quicker than a cheap hooker. Absolutely. The referees in Europe can obviously can struggle in terms of the being conned by these European tricks. I think in the Champions League is probably the best way to say it. But so I've got a comment there from Ian. He's just distracted me there. Put me comment up, you big poof. Sack Mark and promote the Wanker Cat is much more positive, even if he's a tit. I think you need some anger management, Ian. I think I don't know if Monday night you just like drink a bottle of brown ale and start punching the wall in your spare room or something, mate. You need to fucking chill out a bit, mate. It's a hard game getting all these comments up. We haven't got fucking mods in the comments like some of the other podcasts. Father Jack is saying, hope we play Miley, Anderson, Hall, and Livramento rotation. Should start here. Cheers. Yeah, I don't know if they're all ready for that one. I don't think, mate. But another might be on the bench. Might see some young lads on the bench. The new monkey is pure buzzing like a burner phone for tomorrow neat. Like, I love that. Honestly, that is the most Geordie comment I think we've ever had. Monkey, I absolutely adore that, mate. That's class. That's like the comment of the week. That is, mate. Absolutely. But yeah, I think George is saying there. People are talking about the Premier League, Mark, as well. The Premier League is streets ahead with fitness, pace, technique, and mentality of the continent. On the continent, I think that for the raw intensity, I think we are ahead of them. And entire new member there saying that Tonali Masterclass is written all over this one. I mean, what headline that would be, mate, wouldn't it? Tonali almost writes itself.
It does. Look, to go back to that comment about the Premier League and against other leagues, I mean, we come back to what we've said before about the Bundesliga, and I know they play this in the Bundesliga, but they're the players that come from the Bundesliga and don't perform in the Premier League when they've been absolute superstars in the Bundesliga. It shows just how weak at times that competition can be. I think Serie A is a little bit like that at times. They're very big at the top, but a little bit like the Premier League in that they've got some very good teams at the top. But chuck them in against the very best that the Premier League can offer, and they can't match them. So I know the Milan teams did well in the Champions League last season, but it felt like one of those seasons a little bit like you go back to the whole Porto Monaco thing where they got so far. It almost felt like that. They didn't look particularly great at times, but did the job. But I just think there's another step this season, and I do think there is a gulf between the very best that the Premier League has to offer and the rest of the bar Madrid, who are just the Erling Haaland of the club world because they're utter freaks. But even they have a rick in them at times. So, but I think there is a massive gulf, and even to the best side in Italy over the last couple of years, Napoli, on the European stage, they haven't looked all that. So, look, it does bode well for the Premier League and it bodes well for Newcastle with that energy, with that intensity to go into tomorrow's game and really, really boss it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't think he's saying we are playing Madridian. He's just using them as a comparison. But
it was an analogy. It wasn't.
But no, listen, we'd fucking smash them as well because we're class. So there you go, mate. There you go. But yeah, I mean, I suppose we're going to finish up then, Mark. We're going to cover out a tune because we always do that on the Monday in a second. But let's just get this out there in the open. What is your prediction? What's your prediction for the score tomorrow, mate? I'm going to don't sit on the fucking fence here. I'm going to put you
just as the reaction. Thank you, Ian. Just to clarify that you are 7 pints in a bottle of red wine. That's fine.
That's a slow Monday. Pick up the pace there. Rookie numbers, mate. You need to get them numbers up. But what's your prediction for the score, mate? Come on.
I'm going to go 2-1. I'm going to go 2-1. I think Tonali will score. I think it'll be Isak and Tonali.
Ooh, very good. Very good.
And there was a comment earlier. I don't know whether you brought it up. I can't remember that. About is it time for Tonali on set pieces? It's a sneaky suspicion that there's a Tonali free kick or corner involved in one of the goals where he gets involved in one. So yeah, that's for me. 2-1.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of coming in there. 1-1 for Kev, 3-1 for Ian. What else we got there? I'm going to go for Tocoin. I think 1-0. I think Isak 1-0 is what I'm going for. I would. I don't think it's going to be a massively scoring game. I think we'll count each other out. Monkey's saying the same as you. 2-1. He's saying Tonali and Wilson, last minute winner. Could you imagine that handsome bastard giving the old salute at the San Siro, mate? Oh, imagine that in every newspaper tomorrow. Oh, get up there.
I'd imagine that might make our thumbnail for post-game.
Oh, yes. There's no doubt about that for post-match. No doubt at all. Handsome bastard in Milan. 2-0 says George as well. Ian has gone very reserved at 0-0, which, to be fair, I'd still take as a result, mate. Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. I think Ian's also saying Gordon first to goal. Tune Trader is put down the red to say 2-1 to the Tune, so he's backing you as well, mate, for your scoreline. Also, Stu Mag is saying 2-1. Gordon winner. What
lots of love for Gordon in the comments. I like that because I think
rightly so, mate. Rightly so.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
He's been brilliant.
Look at some of the comments he got last season about him not being good enough, and there were fans that said, "Look, wish they hadn't bought him. They should send it back. He wasn't good enough. He should be so." Like he'd come in with no pre-season behind his, under Eddie Howe. He came into a new club and in a new area, under a new manager doing different things. And I thought he settled well. Not as quickly as you maybe would like, but he settled well. He's showing this season just what a good player he is.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. As Kev says there, a lot of people hated him when he signed. He had that Craig Bellamy type vibe for me that, he was just that antagonistic shit player. But I thought he really endeared himself to the fans. He come across really well. I think the media team did a great job of covering his signing, and then the whole thing with getting picked up in the narrow centre was really good, and it just really made you think, actually, he's not a bad kid, to be fair. And then obviously on the pitch, you could see he was trying so hard to make it work for him, but now he's one of the first names on the team sheet for me, Mark, in every game. He really is. I think he's that good. I think he can be even better. I'm just so excited to see what he can do, obviously on the top stage in European football and also in the Premier League. So yeah, long may he reign. He looks like fucking Joffrey from Game of Thrones. Long may he reign. Just don't drink any poison, Anthony.
I was going to say, let's just hope it doesn't end up like Joffrey. I mean, there is a character in a TV show that I celebrated wildly when he was killed off.
Yeah. I think people celebrated his death just about as much as that pedo has just fucking kicked the bucket as well, which I won't name, but that was out there in the world of football as well. You all know who I'm talking about. But yeah, let's move on to Out of Tune then, mate, because it is what's going on. It wouldn't be what's going on without Out of Tune. And I, for one, much like everybody else I'm sure in the comments and the world of football in general, when you're not Manchester United fans, I'd say from Manchester, but most of you aren't from Manchester. If you weren't a Manchester United fan, most of you will be absolutely licking your chops, smiling every single day at the sheer implosion that is Manchester United's downfall, that nobody is shedding a tear about whatsoever. They got fucking pumped from Brighton. Now, we got beat off Brighton the week before, right? We held our hands up and said Brighton absolutely smashed us. They got absolutely fucking annihilated, Mark, at Old Trafford. And the beauty was every goal was practically the same. The new goalkeeper looks shit. The team is dreadful. Their arrogant wank manager looks like he's totally run out of ideas. And mate, I am absolutely loving it. And for Out of Tune, I'm going to pass it over to you in a second. But this stupid prick turned around and said, "Oh, everybody's spending money. Or even Brighton are spending money," not knowing that the statos of the world, like yourself, are about to do what you're going to do right now to this dickhead and make him look like an absolute prick. So over to you, dear boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the most sensible of comments, was it? When your opposition lineup costs £15.4 million as a starting lineup, less than Palestrian and Hannibal on your own bench was Brighton's starting lineup, which contained, what was it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, no less than 6 free, was it 6 free, 5 free transfers? One player cost less than £1 million. You look at that and you just go, yeah, you haven't had the best of moments there, Eric, have you? And I mean, even Brighton's bench was only 37 million, and 30 of that was on João Pedro. I mean, it's just utterly ludicrous. I think Man U spent, what was it, 170 million in the summer. So you spent money. It's not like everybody, you've had absolutely nothing to spend. It's not like Frank at Chelsea a few years ago where they were under transfer embargo. You've spent money. You've spent it on shit. You've spent it on really piss poor players. And the club as a whole over the last 5 or 6 years have just pissed money up the wall, exactly like Everton did. They've spent it on utter dross. And to come out and include Brighton in that comment was just utterly ridiculous, and it showed the level of the man. And he looks like he's out of his depth in the Premier League. He you've referred to him as the worm with a goatee, don't you? He just looks more and more like that every day, and that really pissed me off about the fact you say that about a team that's practically spent nothing. Their whole squad is less than your goalkeeper cost. Well, fuck off, Eric.
Yeah, exactly. Well said, mate. The interesting bit was one of the players that fucking wiped their ass with him was a player that they had 9 years ago in Danny Welbeck, who they deemed surplus to requirement, who waltzed through their team and finished with aplomb, past, according to a very well-known Manchester United podcaster. I'll try and do his voice. The best goalkeeper in the Premier League. No, he's really not. He really is not at all. He's fucking dreadful.
He might be good with his feet. He's fucking dreadful. He cannot. His hands are made of paper.
Mate.
He
has picked his balls out of a net more than fucking Dr. Frankenfurter from the Rocky Horror Picture Show, mate. That is how bad he is as a goalkeeper. That's an image to go to bed with at night, ladies and gentlemen. But he is not a good goalkeeper at all. He just fucking goes like this. Just tries to seal flap the ball. You know what I mean? We were giving Nick Pope shit. For bad kicking and stuff like that. And he's just fucking awful, isn't he? Absolutely awful, mate.
When he comes in with such a big bill and for such a big price, and he's labelled as going to be the best goalkeeper in the Premier League. I mean, Goldbridge was saying he was the best goalkeeper in the Premier League right from the very beginning. Like, if you haven't seen the clips of Goldbridge for the Danny Welbeck goal, that's worth it. Oh, it's just beautiful.
The best bit, I knew you would like that comment. Yeah, just for you, mate. I knew you'd like that one. Have another glass of red for that. The best one was when Rasmus Højlund scored the goal. And it was so far out of play that I'm sure I saw Stevie Wonder on the sideline with his flag up. It was that far out the line. And he cuts it across and he gets so excited that he just goes absolutely off on one. And honestly, if he's playing a character, he's playing it to a T. He really is. But it was hilarious. I was crying. It was so funny. It really was, mate.
No, and fully deserved. I just don't like them as a club at all. Yeah. I know that's a very obvious thing to say as everybody else, but yeah, they are. And you still saw some of their fans after that goal was disallowed. Oh, it was definitely in. It was definitely in. They were concocting these pictures to say that it was taken at the wrong. You could see clear daylight from along the line, between the line and the ball. Fuck off. It just, they're a shambles. They're a mess. They're falling apart, and it's fucking glorious.
It's spectacular. I mean, Gary Neville's come out and he's obviously buried the owners as has a former defender who may or may not be getting put under the Evermore rant sword tomorrow morning. But they've obviously slagged off the owners to the hill, and I don't disagree. The owners have been poor, right? But like you said, Mark, they spent money this window. Ten Hag has got to take responsibility for the players that have been signed. He's the one who's telling them to sign these players. He's the one telling them to sign a pound shop Haaland with a bad back, who comes and signs and he can't even play because he's got a fucking bad back for 3 weeks or something like that. He's the one that's telling them to sign a goalkeeper who basically has invisible hands like Marty McFly when he starts playing the guitar, and then seeing when he disappears in the photograph. That's almost like Onana's hands, really, So he's got to take responsibility for that. He ran David De Gea out of town, whether you agree or disagree with that. De Gea's powers had started to wane, no doubt about that, right? But I'll tell you something, I think De Gea saved some of them shots, mate, at the weekend. So you've got to fucking answer that question.
Yeah, I love that. Haaland from Wish. He absolutely is.
He really is. He really
definitely that. It's the fact that when commentators are trying to pronounce it, they're trying to pronounce him so close to Haaland, just to try and make there's some comparison there. And I mean, there's just no comparison, is there? It's just But you're right. Ten Hag has to take responsibility, and if things keep going the way they're going, I don't think he finishes the season with them. I really don't. And is there a lot of Man United fans now looking at Ole going, do you know what? We might have run him out a little bit too early.
Very possibly, very possibly. Yeah, Ferdinand's Twitter feed is very funny tonight after that video. There's no doubt about that. It's an interesting one because obviously from one ridiculous club to another in Chelsea, who spent $1 billion, as old Dr. Evil would say, $1 billion for frickin' footballers, and they're absolutely fucking dreadful as well. And again, just hook it to the veins, man. It's fucking amazing, You see the likes of Newcastle who spent money wisely, despite all the, the cries from the media to go and buy Neymar and all these other fucking idiots. We didn't do it, right? You look at Villa, the way they've invested really well, smart transfers, clever transfers. You said there, Mark, Brighton are the antithesis of how you should run a football club, really. Go and find these players from the far throes of the world who, for 2 million and 20 pence in a bag of crisps, and then they turn out being £100 million players. And then let stupid clubs like Chelsea buy them, not figure out any way how to play them whatsoever, and just completely bomb. I mean, it's a toss-up now, really, between Pochettino and Ten Hag, who's getting sacked first. And that is amazing. That's like me watching two boxers I don't like just punch each other to shit in the ring. I'll just sit with popcorn and enjoy every single blow that lands, mate. I mean, that you couldn't ask for a better result, really, could you?
That's mad when you think about when you think about how many teams would have taken Pochettino in a heartbeat. And it started Chelsea after they started all right, but then to go out and to spend, what was it, 105 million on Caicedo, 50 odd million on Lavia and Kunku, Palmer, Disasi, who's the lad that was playing, Nicholas Jackson, who doesn't look like he can score a goal at the moment. You keep going through that list of players that they've brought in, and what's going on? And half the players are injured. So they've bought all these centre backs. They must have bought 8 centre backs in the last 18 months, and none of them are fit. Thiago Silva wasn't fit at the weekend, but still played, and they just look shocking. Mudryk is absolutely shocking.
He's terrible.
If ever there was a guy that looks like a competition winner that's won the prize of playing for a Premier League club, it's him. He's quick, he's fast as fuck, but he's got nothing, and he doesn't look like he knows what he's doing.
I'm starting to think, right, that's not even the real Mudryk. That the real Mudryk has gone to like fight for his country or something like that, and that's just his mate or his brother or something that's just decided to go and play for Chelsea for the crack. That's kind of what I'm thinking about, really, because he doesn't look like the right player. Not the one that we saw from Shakhtar.
No, I do think maybe a lot of what's gone on over there has had its effect on him, perhaps. But when you've signed a player for that much money, you want some output from him, and he's just done absolutely nothing. And he doesn't look like being able to do anything either. One little flash his debut against Liverpool, where he should have scored. And other than that, I mean, I failed to see anything else he's done. But then you can say exactly the same again for the likes of Enzo Fernandez. Was it 115 million for him? He's done fuck all. He looks.
I mean, he's probably been he's probably been one of the better ones out of a lot of them that they've signed, I suppose. But
even then,
still,
there's levels.
Yeah.
Go and look at the amount of money they've spent on him, and to throw the Newcastle one into the mix.
Just laughing at this comment there.
The difference in value in those players is unbelievable. And I know which one 99% of people would want in the team, and it isn't Enzo Fernandez.
If you think about Isak, Bruno, and Botman, all three of them, Man United fans would have rather they signed them than we did. But great comment from Woodby Farmer. Maybe Donald Trump will come and rescue Man U. He's a stable genius, you know. Well, one thing's for sure, mate. If you build a wall, and they wouldn't concede any free kicks, I think. So he'd probably be all right on that one, I think, compared to Onana, who can't build a wall at all. I think Ian's getting quite upset here about City blaming the managers. They've got fantastic managers. There's no doubt that Pochettino and Ten Hag are good managers, but they knew the price and the ticket when they came in, the basket case clubs that they came into. So their reputation is rightly so under the microscope, and when it fails, unfortunately for them, rightly or wrongly, Ian, it'll be their reputation that gets fucking battered. It won't be Ted Bowley or the Glazers, because they'll just go and hire the next knacker for the job. You know, and if that knacker works, great. If that knacker doesn't work, they'll go get another one, because that's what's happened with football now. We're just, you know, the managers are just collateral damage. I mean, look at David Moyes is a great example, Mark. Went from Everton to Manchester United. They all said he failed, went to Sociedad, didn't work, went to Sunderland. You know, everyone said that guy is a wash, he's crap, he's this and that. Look what a good job he's done at West Ham. What a great job David Moyes has done at West Ham.
Second time round after he was run out of town the first time.
Yeah,
and West Ham fans didn't want him back when he came back. And he's done such a good job. And look, I think if signings of the season so far, I think they're really high on that list with James Ward-Prowse, because I think he's been exceptional and so cheap when you think about it. 30 million for him, and he's been brilliant. He really has.
Yeah, I don't disagree there, Ian. I think the club shouldn't be under the microscope, not the manager. Yeah, the club's a badly run. I totally agree with you, mate. And, you know, whenever them clubs get that shit together, they may be better, but let's just watch them burn, mate, because the Newcastle fans, it's absolutely brilliant. It gives us more of a chance to move up the league. Just a couple of more comments there. One from Graham saying, looking long-term in the league, maybe top three, Arsenal, Liverpool and City. So fourth and fifth between Spurs, Newcastle, Brighton, and even the Hammers. Chelsea and Man United, I don't see it. A total mess. I don't see that either. I can't see them two finishing in the top fourth or fifth mark the way they're playing, unless they do something drastic. What do you think?
Sorry, say that again. You just cut out.
No, Manchester. I was just saying Manchester United. I think Graham was saying that he can't see them finishing fourth, fifth, them or Chelsea. I can't see it at the minute.
I think they're going to hope and pray for hitting top sixth at most. I think for them, I can't. They're not going to break the top five this season. I really can't see it. There are clubs, especially the resurgence of Spurs this season as well, just goes to show that they're still lagging miles behind.
Absolutely. I agree with that as well for me, and you don't get time at Chelsea. Pochettino was a good manager and he won't get time. He'll get binned. And it was the same with Graham Potter, who was a good manager, and he'll get binned. He did get binned, and Pochettino get binned. With Ten Hag, I think Manchester United have backed themselves in a bit of a corner there that they have to give the guy time. But if his signings keep bombing the way they are, he is going to be put under pressure, and then he could very well be out of a job if results don't pick up. If he's way adrift by January, mate, he's nowhere near the top four, I think he could definitely be out on his arse.
Yeah, I mean, that's the ultimate, isn't it? When you're spending the amount of money that they are, you have to be challenging for top four, and if you're miles off, then there's only one thing that's going to happen, and you're going to be out of the job.
Absolutely, mate. But like we say, who gives a fuck about them? It's a great way to finish.
Give us something to talk about, doesn't
it? Give us something to end the show with. But as we say, thank you so much, everybody. That's us all done for another What's Going On. Bit of a different one this week, obviously, because we're doing the match preview for the Champions League, which, if you didn't know, is on tomorrow. Don't get caught out. It's an early kickoff as well. It's 4:45. I think it's 5:30, 4:45. So don't get caught out. Make sure you find it somewhere, unless you're stupid like Mark and you can't get out of work early enough. But I will be watching that right from the first kickoff, believe you me. And obviously, as you said, George, thank you so much, mate. If you can like the video, we would really appreciate it, because it really helps the channel grow and helps with the algorithms and everything else that is there. And if you're new to the channel, sorry, Mark, go on. What you saying?
Sorry, I've just spotted that. Warnock to Chelsea. Yes, he's leaving Huddersfield. Warnock to Chelsea. It's happening.
Mate. That would be epic. That would just make my week even more. That would be. But yes. So just I was saying there before Mark had to put up that great comment. If you're new to the channel, subscribe, come and join us. If you fancy being a member, smash that button as well. We've had one of you become a new member tonight as well, so we really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we're going to be back with a post-match tomorrow, so jump on live. As always, we'll be keen to talk to you about, hopefully, a Newcastle United win in the Champions League, the first time back in the competition for 20 years. Come and join us in the comments. We always pull the comments up, as you've seen tonight. We don't ignore you. You guys take the time to comment. We take the time to pull it up and engage with you. But that's us done for another What's Going On. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Get your teeth right. Time for bed. I'm falling asleep. Time for bed, everyone. Have a good one, and we'll catch you later.
Take care, guys. Enjoy tomorrow.
Oh, damn right we will.
Indeed. See you later.
See you later.